So the first activity I want to do is I'm actually do a demo. I think this was like highly requested from UXA. So I would like to do a demo just for myself about how I would go through like the first 10 minutes if this was a real interview, right? And the whiteboarding prompt you see here, design a bike rental system for the city of Pittsburgh. You can see this question is a real interview question from Amazon many years ago. This is very similar to a real interview question at a new grad internship level at Google. This is one of the questions Namita and I practiced in depth for prepping her interview. This question is actually probably a lot harder than most of you think. So if you look at this question, I can even give you guys up to 10 minutes. A lot of you may not even have any idea on how to start because it's not an app, right? Or at least it doesn't say it's an app. Like obviously you can make anything to an app, right? So if you think back to Hannah's presentation today, what is the first thing you need to do for this problem? You can just shout it out if you think you know. Sorry, could you speak up?
Is the stand process?
Yes.
What are some of the features required?
Yes. So to re-summarize what Yining said in the back, the process you want to do for any design process challenge, whiteboard, app critique, design take-home, is you need to define the question. This question right now is very, very hard to answer because, to be honest, you probably don't know what you're supposed to do. So you need to define it yourself. So now we're going to move over to FigJam. I'll do the demo. Everyone who doesn't have a computer can look up at the screen, or you can look along with me on FigJam, and you can like hype me up as I go through it on FigJam. We're all going to be working on the same FigJam space, so please be respectful. Like, don't accidentally like delete anything I'm doing or delete anything what anyone else is doing. You can use comments, you can leave bubbles, you can sketch next to me. Just please, be respectful of other people's workspace. All right, I see, oh, wow, I see so many people up here. I see close to 50 people. Okay, my computer is pretty laggy with the share screen and everything. I will probably just keep my focus exactly here. For the purpose of this exercise, a lot of what I'm writing will mostly just be in text. I'll use this large text. I think everyone can read clearly if I do it here. So I will actually set a timer for myself so everyone knows I only spend 10 minutes and I'm not cheating in any way. And I'll play some ambient music just from the FigJam thing. So if you hate the FigJam ambient music, you'll have to deal with it. Okay, so one thing that I want everyone to know is the whiteboarding activity is extra stressful because the timing is the hardest part for it, right? So just to show you how stressful it is, your actual interviewer may join a few minutes late. They may do a self-introduction. So if you see a 45-minute interview for a whiteboarding exercise, that usually means you only have 30 minutes to complete it. You see a 1-hour session, that means you have 45 minutes to complete it. So to prove to you how stressful it is, I will just waste the first 1 minute standing here doing nothing. So this kind of simulates actually what it is. Obviously, I only have like 9 minutes to do it after that. So if we're going to do a full session, I would approach it slightly differently than if I only had 9 minutes. Because I only have 9 minutes, I won't do an overview, but just to make sure I teach all of you how to do it. Generally for the whiteboarding, you want to spend like, make this white. So generally you want to spend close to 5 minutes defining the question. After that, you want to go into sort of like you can either call like UX research, or you can just add some sort of like manual constraints, or you can like do even like a quick Google search if you have, for example, no idea what Pittsburgh is, right? So you want to just quickly Google it. So whatever you want to do this next part, you could generally call it like narrow down. Something that's really important is for this part, the output of what you want is you want this to be something very similar to a persona or a journey map. Okay, so all of you, I assume, know what that is. After this, very, very important, the persona or journey map needs to identify the specific pain points you've narrowed down. Okay, so I'm going to write PP for pain point. And then after that, you should write your how might we / problem statement. The how might we / problem statement should never be the same prompt they give you. So you should redefine it similar to an actual double diamond process. After that, you can do some brainstorming. After the brainstorming, you can do a down selection, or you can do like a matrix diagram. It could be like 2 by 2. You can do whatever sort of down selection method you want, but you simplify your idea into one specific concept. Key tip here, always go by solution, not recommendation. Okay, something why a lot of students fail is they end up the whiteboard saying like, it could be A or it could be B. It cannot, because you are giving one recommendation. So very important part here. So the one solution should become a user flow first. And then from that user flow, you should do a key screen wire, which can look like absolute crap. Like how good the wireframe looks never reflects if you get an offer or not. But if you're trying to show like a complex interface, like an AR thing or like a VR thing, you should sketch something out. Yeah, so honestly, that's the output you need to do. Here I recommend 3 screens. And then just to kind of like flex on the hiring manager a little bit, at the end I recommend all of you do like a reflection. So this is where you really show off your product design experience. So you can say like, hey, if this was a real product, I would actually do X, Y, and Z slightly differently. And you could even say like, I've done something similar to my past when I was interning at Amazon, when I was interning at Google. So you can do like an extra flex at the reflection. So it's not a real reflection. Also, something to be careful of is even if you feel like you did the worst job possible, don't actually reflect what you did bad. Always use it as an opportunity to make it better. So now I only have about 6 minutes left. So let me just quickly go over my thought process on what I would talk about in each of these sections if I actually did it. And I'll just use a sketching tool to make it look a bit more visual. So first off, how would I define this problem? I have the problem memorized in my head, but you should write it down in your interview if you aren't that good at memorizing things. So the problem is about bike rental system in Pittsburgh. First thing I would define is like, how do we define Pittsburgh? Right? I know what it is, but are we talking about suburban area? Or are we talking about in CMU? Do you have a preference? Right? Then we'll talk about what a rental system is, right? Like what classifies as a rental. These are questions you can ask the interviewer, but also you can just probe them for yourself because most likely the interviewer will just say it's up to you. So add those constraints yourself and then be specific. The better you narrow, the better you'll succeed. This is the most important thing Namita and I worked on, right? Because usually for students, it's hard to add these constraints. So I'll just manually quickly add some constraints. I'll say that I'm a startup, so I'll write ST. I am trying to ship a new bike rental solution just for students on CMU campus, right? Just to kind of give myself some wiggle room, I'll quickly break down to see like if this is actually a good direction, right? I might say like, what are some opportunities that CMU students would actually bike, right? So I would split this into some possible more key areas. So maybe CMU spikes to commute to save money, right? But like CMU is like, maybe Pittsburgh is very cold most of the time. Like would people actually like bike during those times? So I really go through step by step to analyze what are some pain points about actual bike rental solutions. And to give you an example how detailed you can narrow it, right? What I would probably say is, let's do a bike rental solution only for people visiting CMU campus, not even for students on campus. I'm gonna do a bike rental solution that's only for people visiting the campus. Why do people want a bike rental solution just for that? Well, simple, because people that are visiting, they're not gonna have enough knowledge like actual students about where to go on campus, where to get rentals, how to ride a bike safely, how to get to places, right? They're gonna struggle with navigating inside the school, which is not a pain point current CMU students would have. So to expand a little bit, I basically define who my persona is, right? It's very, very narrow, right? You can see it's even more narrow than CMU students. It's like exchange students, people new to campus, right? So I define it very, very concrete. So you can see based off of that, I'll actually write a new how might we statement to show how I've defined it, right? So I'll write how might we design a bike rental Okay, so you'll see I'll write something as detailed like this, and then obviously a few things about bike rentals is like safety probably matters, things like that. I don't have enough time in the demo, but if this was a real interview, make sure similar to what we talked about in Shang's storytelling design process, make sure every single point you mention in the how might we is defined over here, right? So you need to write out these specific pain points in the persona, right? So pain point 1, safety, pain point 2, how to navigate, pain point 3, like I want to ride a bike to explore things, right? So write out all those, and then you can move down to the brainstorming. For the exercise all of you will do, it can end close to the how might we. So we're going to do exercise as a group after this. So you'll try a real prompt. Most of you will probably only get to the how might we, but if you're able to get a little bit more further, you can start the brainstorming. So brainstorming, I want to show you guys this part really quickly. Go beyond thinking about apps. So first off, what I recommend you do is come up with 3 solutions that are just straight up never apps, right? Because app is a cheap way out. So I actually want to come up with something that, what if this is just like an installation, right? It's on campus. It's a physical thing I interact with. Wouldn't that be more natural to campus visitors, right? What are some landmarks in CMU that people would actually go, right? So this is the train of thought I would go. So you could generate a lot of ideas like that. So the technique I'm using to generate ideas right now, if you don't know the term for it, it's called a mind map, right? So I can just generate a bunch of ideas like this. So now let's say I've explored a bunch of ideas, and ultimately, if you go with the app, that's fine. But just to show you for the challenge, I will go with the installation idea. Right, so in the installation idea, I'll say like this idea makes the most sense because it fits the target user's persona's pain points better. It solves it the best, right? So with that justification, I can basically move on to the next steps. I see a question in the crowd, so I'll quickly answer it after. After this, so now let's say at this part, I already have essentially, I'm gonna make a really ugly drawing. So this is just gonna be like this thing that looks like a hat is just gonna be the installation, right? So it's gonna it's like shining and stuff like that. So based off of this idea, what I'll probably do is I'll add some sticky notes and then I'll map out some of the key touch points this solution has. From these key touch points, I can create a real user flow, right? And then make sure the user flow is a happy path flow that's step by step. So make sure it's end to end. End to end means it should start by the first point of interaction. So for this prompt, the tricky thing is the first point of interaction is probably happening visually, right? Because they would need to see the installation first. It's not on the interface of the installation. And then talk about like finally end to end, how they would return the bike and things like that. And then afterwards, if my solution is, like an installation, it's not actually an app, you can still sketch some keyframes because probably your installation still has some UI element that they're interacting with. So focus on sketching those UI elements. So to do a quick demo, you can see I'll write, like maybe it just looks something like this, and then it's a screen on this thing, right? So I only have 10 seconds left. Overall, I think for 9 minutes, I did pretty well teaching / demoing at the same time. I say I split up the time very well, and that was my reflection, right? So you can see I ended it exactly at 0.0. So yeah, we can do like a quick round of questions. But yeah, go ahead. Go for it. Yes.
So I was wondering if you're interviewing for a company that distributes software.
Mm-hmm. No, it does not. Yeah. If they want you to specifically design an app, it will be in the prompt. So whatever solution you choose should actually be the best fit. What a lot of students try to do is they force it to become an app when the solution obviously should not be an app. This one, I think you could do app. You could do something else. Yeah. Any other questions for the demo? How well would you all say I did for this prompt in 9 minutes? Do you guys think it's good? Good? Anyone think they can do better? No, it's okay if you think so, because you'll have a chance to prove it in the next 10 minutes. But overall, like I don't expect you to be that experienced. Like your time control doesn't have to be that perfect, right? But it is like as you practice more, your time control will get better. So for me, I can do a whiteboard challenge in 2 minutes. I can do it in 9 minutes. I can do it in 1 hour. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is in your brain, you should know like if you only have this amount of time, how do you split it up? So make sure you still show each key step. You're still going through the process, but the detail of the each step could be different. Okay, so glad you all enjoyed that demo. Going back over here to the actual prompt. So I'll give everyone a little bit more time than what I had because a lot of you might be the first time doing it. So this is your turn to show your design process. So design a boba tea ordering solution. You'll find a bunch of FigJam workspaces, right? Does anyone not know what a boba tea is? Okay, just making sure. Yeah, boba is this thing in the picture, right? So everyone, like, name your workspace below. So we'll all be on this FigJam page. So yeah, name your, oh, I see you guys already grabbed some. So everyone work in one space. If you see the space already taken, just leave it. And then if you're grouping up in teams of 2, feel free to work in teams of 2. But yeah, you can basically start whenever. And then usually I recommend students practicing by memorizing the prompt. The prompt is usually easy enough, but if you want to write it down, I'll repeat it again. Design a boba tea ordering solution. Okay. You have 15 minutes to do the activity. I'll set the timer right now. Feel free to discuss with your teammates. Feel free to discuss at your table. We have 90 seconds left. Start wrapping up your whiteboard. 3 seconds left. All right, we're at time. So everyone stop working. All right, I just locked access. Oh, you guys were surprised I could do that. Oh, all right, now. Yeah, but I just made it, I just stopped everyone's access because I'll open the access later if you really want to finish your thought. But I want to make sure we spend enough time like coming back as a group because unfortunately we do have to like switch rooms in a bit. So, all right, everyone, hopefully you have fun with the activity. Was it fun? Yeah. Challenging? Did the demo help a little bit? Whiteboarding? So for most of you, this is the first time you've done a whiteboard, right? Yeah, so the coaches were really impressed. They said it looks like a lot of you guys learn really fast. So really great work on the process. So just really important to know is in a real whiteboard challenge, you don't have to be so rushed. If you can get to a good how might we statement by the 15-minute mark, usually you're all set. Okay, so that's why I wanted to rush all of you a little bit because you don't have all the time in the world, but you'll have a little bit more time in the interview. Okay, so to wrap up, before we go into the final reflection slides, does any team feel really proud of what they created and want to come up stage and just really quickly like spend 1 or 2 minutes to talk about what they did? You guys, yeah, go ahead. Come up here. You can come use the podium.
You can move those. Here, let me just delete. Okay, I can't move it. Anyway, so I can?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So we came up with the instant boba bar solution. The way we came up with this was first by thinking about our pain points. I guess us when we want to order boba, what we would what we want in the process, and we feel like it's a bit overwhelming at times with things that already exist. If you're going to a restaurant or if you have an app, for example. So we wanted to target like an ideal customer for us, which would be someone who lives around like a college campus and would want something easy and efficient that they can grab to if they're running late to a meeting or just want to get a treat really quickly. So here we have a boba bar kiosk, which basically simplifies the solution. As you can see here, we have, actually, I guess we had multiple different things, but here it would show like the type of tea, topping size, and whatever you can filter out. Instead of having to scroll through the different types of boba, you just like pick one by one. Each screen would be different. And then you would just pay right there and then a boba would be dispensed at the kiosk.
Okay, good job, team of 3. 2 humans plus 1 puppy. I think overall pretty solid for 15 minutes. One really important thing to remember though, always write out the how might we statement, the problem statement. So this one here, I think like it would be a lot more stronger if you had a really defined problem statement. So I think you have all the components of the problem statement, but make sure you clearly write it out. So I think that would really help the interviewer a lot. Does that make sense? Yeah. So make sure you spend time on that. I guess for the sake of time, does anyone really want to share theirs as well, or can we move on? Okay, we'll have one more volunteer. Okay, you have maybe just, I'll set a 2-minute timer for you, so you gotta go fast.
Okay, so I'm kind of solving a similar issue here, but my focus, the key thing, the inspiration is that I've always been hearing, I'm an experienced boba drinker, but I've been hearing more new boba drinkers saying like they're always overwhelmed with the options, and that would sometimes lead to decision paralysis. So the problem statement is that a new boba drinker tends to order the same and basic items because of fear of trying something new and too many options that finally led to decision paralysis. So how might we utilize a basic crowdsourced data, user rating and user review data to help guide new boba drinkers to make informed decisions that minimizes their stress and increase their chance of coming back? So basically I have a very simple wireframing of how that feature might look like, which is during their ordering process, they might see their recommended drinks and reviews based on their past ordering history, and also other people's reviews of like how sweet the drink is and what flavor profiles that drink has, and their ratings based on their crowdsourced data. They can probably also find people that are also into the same kind of direction of flavors that they might match with, and they might make more informed decisions. And then afterwards they will be encouraged to leave a review of their drink to help others make decisions, and also maybe gain a coupon from the business as incentive.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very, very good. You can go back. Thank you for participating. And then just one very quick question for you. If you were to show what you mentioned, your design visually, because I saw you started on your wireframe, what is one interesting visual concept you can do to demonstrate your product? Do you have any ideas on the spot? Like how would you show your product visually?
For the whiteboard problem?
Yes, just shout it out. What I'm trying to get at the question is your process is really, really strong. Like I think you have a very solid problem statement, good approach, well defined enough. If you were to improve, I think there's only 2 areas. Like obviously you don't have enough time to get to it today, so maybe you would naturally do it if you have more time. Kill them with the final visual product too. So give them like an extra flair at the end. Like one way you could do with your scale is something that instantly comes to my mind is instead of actual like pie charts and graphs and things like that, make the balls like actually just boba balls. Like you can just add a little bit of extra spice, show your creativity. Right. So something like that. And then also you could always talk a little bit more about in your design, if you're more experienced, you can talk about like what you think the metrics are. If this was a real product, what KPIs you would track. So this is like one level above, because everything done, the fundamentals is already very solid. So good job. So a lot of the activity we've done today was, if you notice, all team-based, right? And in a real interview, there will be no team-based activity. So the reason why I wanted everyone to do this team-based activity is I want everyone to get a feel of like the competitiveness, right? Because in an interview, at the end of the day, it is a competition. Of course, I'm not sure if everyone already knows each other, so hopefully through the activities today, you all got to meet someone new and did some bonding. And the reason why a lot of these were team-based is a lot of people and students at different campuses we've seen, worked at ourselves, coached, they think about hiring as like this very cutthroat competition, which to a certain degree it is, right? And one thing I always tell my students is this leads to like a lot of really annoying moments, most of which is like when you go on LinkedIn and you see people share like, hey, I'm so happy to announce I'll be joining blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I want to give a shout out, and it's like a little bit obnoxious. Like, of course, you can share your highlights, your celebration moments, and things like that. But what this really tends to drive is just unnecessary stress and anxiety. So even myself, like I don't use LinkedIn that much. I don't really like the platform as much. But right, it is important for recruitment and things like that. So we created UXO because we really want to have like a community like what we have today, where when all the members we work together, even though it is a competition at the end, you can learn from each other too. There is this nature where a lot of these cutthroat competition is something that you can improve and work together. So try to think of everyone here at CMU or with your mentors, with us, UXGo, other people you work with, even perhaps your potential competitors. Try to think of you all as a team, right? And really the only competition you'll have within this team is yourself, right? So I have a diagram here. This is just a finite game versus an infinite game. So what this means is when the competition is yourself, really you just have to make sure you're setting milestones and you're making steady improvements every day, right? So this way you can eliminate a lot of potential stress and noise. UX is something that gives a lot of us as coaches and alumni purpose. And I think for a lot of you, you all are very talented and good at this. So I'm sure to a lot of you, UX really gives you purpose. And what I mean by purpose is like, this is something that when you sit down and you do, you can really feel like, even if it's just for a school project, you feel like what you're creating here today in that moment has a purpose beyond that moment, right? So that's really what I mean by purpose. So you can define it however way you want. But I believe UX is something all of you have potential in, something that all of you are passionate in. So make sure to always just compete with the person you are yesterday. And for a lot of us, mentorship is something that gives us purpose too, right? We attend these events, we work with you all not because we think we're better than you, right? Because we actually want to learn and grow with you. It's really amazing to see a lot of you. We're always surprised by how hardworking and how talented you are. And our goal for events like this today is, yes, we'll teach you really fundamental and basic things like interview skills, but the goal of these is hopefully everything we talk about from keynotes to practices, it helps you go beyond like this session today, right? So hopefully 3 years or 5 years into your career, if you reflect back to this event, this is something you still remember, right? You're like, oh, there were some of these people that came to CMU that day and I heard some of the thoughts they said and it actually was kind of helpful to me throughout my entire early career. And maybe you can pass that along to other people too, right? Because one day I'm sure if all of you would like to be mentors or would like to be like awesome alumni like Arjun or Namita, there's a lot you can pass down and offer other people, right? So there's a lot of like, I think positivity in our community in that way. And I hope that's something that through our events, we can spread to all of you as well. So this is, to myself, and I talked to Namita a few times, like, I think not to phrase it in a exaggerative way, but UX design has really been something that has saved our lives in many ways, right? Because it really gives us purpose and it's something we can zone in, focus on. And then once you get, naturally pretty good at something, it helps roll into other parts of your life. And I know college as a whole is just a very stressful time of your life, right? Like you're in this awkward transition between like adulthood and maybe some of you are in master's program, like you've already been like adult for a while, but it is this awkward transition. So if you put your mind into this, I think this is something that really benefits you in ways that goes beyond just UX itself. So moral of the story, we talked about the timeline. I think a lot of you will naturally be stressed about it regardless, but still like remove the noise from everything, right? And then really zone in. Like if you zone in right now, if you put in the focus and emphasis, I know every single one of you have and have demonstrated to us in this event today, I know all of you will succeed, right? Because you have 1 full month to get your portfolio resume ready. You work a full day like this today, you work it 3 weekends, I guarantee you your portfolio is ready, right? So zone in, remove the noise, and then don't focus on competitive analysis. This can be with LinkedIn, this can be with your peers, this can be with anything. What I mean by this is if you want to do a good product, your professors probably have taught you that you can't start by copying someone else's product, right? You can't start your design by emphasizing, I'm just going to be the next so-and-so company. You need to be innovative. You need to be original. So think of yourself and your hiring process like designing a product. That means try to be innovative and only just focus on becoming that best version of yourself. So your journey won't be the same as any of ours. There'll be parallels, but you are your own version, right? And then also remember, we talked about this a lot of times, like it does sort of get more and more difficult when you get deeper into prepping for your first job, right? Because 0 to 0.5 is that easy path. I would argue everyone here has already walked this journey. So as you go through those last 2 parts, trust the process, right? You're not gonna say like, I'm gonna apply to one job and that job gives me an interview and then I get that offer. That's a bad sort of mindset to have, right? So it doesn't matter how strong of a designer you are, how strong you think your work is, really emphasize on this last part and then just go out there, make that difference. So final reflections, finding a good job is not where it ends, right? That's not what UX Go is about. That's not what all of your careers are about. It's really where your journey begins. And we're really excited to see you use UX to change the world, whether that's in academia, whether that's in the industry, right? And then hopefully if we're able to help you in any way contribute to that a little bit more, we are very proud of ourselves. So just to wrap up, thank you UXA and everyone here today. Thank you CMU and of course everyone here to host us. And we put up the code a little while ago, but if you're just coming in and you want to take a picture again, make sure you use it. And just to avoid any dark patterns we talked about, like we specifically state, like if you want to cancel it, make sure you remember to cancel it. So there is a 48-hour time limit. So if you want to share with your friends, go ahead. And then you'll know your code is applied when the amount is 0, right? So if you register, it doesn't charge you. It says the amount you need to pay is 0. You'll know it worked.